Hello everybody, how are we doing today? If you're new here, welcome to the channel. If you've been here before, welcome back to the channel. This is the beginning of a series of videos that kind of chronicle my path from what I used to do all the way to getting into RV transport. The different steps that I had to take, and it's going to include a whole bunch of senseless ramblings too about different things. So I'm going to break it up into several videos so it's not 5 hours long. So I don't know how many there'll be in this series, but this is the first one in the series, and it's kind of the beginning stages where I just start the process. Follow along through the videos, and I hope that you get some useful information out of it. If you do, click the like button, click the subscribe button to get updates when I post other videos. Click the little bell so it lets you know. Maybe make a comment down there if you're already in this or you're thinking about getting in this. If you got a question, shoot it at me. I'm by no means an expert on this, but I'm learning a lot as I go. Okay, so one of the first things you're going to need is the proper driver's license. In my state, they have the chauffeur's license. It's different in all states. In your state, it might be called a for hire, or it might be called the chauffeur's license. But you have to go to the Secretary of State and upgrade your license from an operator's to whatever it is that your state does. All the transport companies require it. It's not a very difficult test in my state to pass, I hope. Right now I am headed south about 45 minutes to a Secretary of State. Due to COVID, I couldn't get an appointment at my local Secretary of State before July, which is 2 months from now. So I'm signing on with, or planning on signing on with Synergy. And I want to get this done as fast as possible so I can get rolling and start making some money. So we're on the road, and I'll let you know how that works out. So I'm here in beautiful St. Ignace, Michigan, down at the public marina. Just got out of the Secretary of State. Took all of 20 minutes, and that was with asking about the 26,000 pound truck registration that we'll talk about a little bit later in this video. But as far as the test goes, passed it with 100%, and I'm all set. Now I have a chauffeur's license. Now, in my state, and I think it's in all states, but there's two different kinds of license that you can get. One is your regular plain old driver's license, and then the other is an enhanced license. The enhanced license allows you to travel to Canada and Mexico by land or sea without a passport. So for the regular license, the fee for Michigan was $35, and for the enhanced it was $50. So I got the enhanced one because I live in northern Michigan and we travel to Canada when the borders open quite often, so we need the enhanced license things, and I'm not sure if I'll transport any campers to Canada, but I have that option with my enhanced license now if I wanted to take a load to Canada. I have seen other people that have gone to Canada, so we'll see how that goes out. But that was the first step, getting the chauffeur's license. Pretty painless. I read the pamphlet a couple of times. There's just a couple of numbers you got to remember: how far out to put your safety warning devices if you're broke down on the road, how far before to signal before you turn or change lanes, how close to a stop sign can you park on the side of the road, and what to do when you're going into a curve. Just some basic safety questions. It wasn't anything really specific. There was a couple of questions on speed limits for commercial vehicles over 10,000 pounds and things like that, but it was super easy to pass. So the next thing that you should do after you get your for-hire or chauffeur's license is get the vehicle ready for the DOT inspection. They go through everything, so you have to take it to a shop. They'll put it on a hoist. They'll look at all the brakes and the engine and all the safety stuff and things like that. So this one needs a little bit of maintenance. So before I get on to doing some maintenance, I'm going to power wash the engine and clean it all up and clean out underneath it and in the wheel wells and all that. Just kind of clean it up so when I'm in there working on it, it's just not so dirty. It's got a lot of road grime. It doesn't really have any real engine leaks or anything like that, so I'm just going to kind of clean it up a little bit. But I've got to go through it. There's some light bulbs that are out. The cab lights up there are burned out. License plate lights burnt out. Things like that. So I'm going to go through all that after I get it cleaned. Then I'm going to put it in the garage and then get working on the maintenance end of it. Put new filters in it, change the oil, that kind of stuff. Okay, so why clean the engine compartment and the underside of the engine and things like that? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One, it's easier to work on when it's cleaner, so you don't have to get your hands so dirty when you're working on something. Or if you have a breakdown on the side of the road, everything's at least somewhat clean, so it's a little bit easier to work on instead of having piles of grease everywhere and things like that. Now, if you got a major oil leak, then you need to fix that. You don't want to be in this industry with your engine leaking like crazy. I just wanted to clean it up because there's spills and things like that just over time will accumulate under there, road grime and things like that. The other thing that it does is it allows you to see leaks when they happen early on. If your engine compartment's nice and clean, then you see something new that's leaking, then you know it's leaking now, and then you can go ahead and take care of that. So the DOT inspection is the next step in this process, and you can go about this a lot of different ways, but I'm looking at it from a risk versus reward kind of way. I had to get my for-hire or chauffeur's license before I could even be admitted to driving. The next thing that I have to do is get the DOT inspection on the truck and make sure the truck is good. If everything is good on the truck, then I can spend more money on other things. The DOT inspection is only 50 or 60 bucks, but if I switch to the 26,000 pound registration on the truck, that's $800. So that's a big investment. The DOT physical is $100. So there's the fuel tank. Get the fuel tank in there. It's between $700 and $1,000 delivered. But I'm not going to spend all that money until I know that the truck is ready to go for the DOT inspection. Once it passes that, then it's full steam ahead with buying all the other stuff that I have to get, or I want to get. So one of the things that you're going to have to think about is your sleeping arrangements. You could do a hotel. I'm choosing to do hotels less, although my son works for a hotel chain, so I could get him cheaper. I'm still gonna not stay in them very often unless I'm on the road and I have to do my 34-hour reset. So I'm gonna do like everybody else and sleep in the back of the truck. I have elected to take the seat out, and I'm gonna build a platform and see what kind of storage I can get under it. In this truck, the back seat comes out with 4 bolts. And that's it. So it's like super fast. So when I come back in town and I want to take the family in here, I can plop the seat back in and it's no big deal. So we'll show you how that process goes. So now before I take the girl in to get her DOT physical and all the inspections, there's some stuff that I have to do first, and some stuff that I want to do first. We'll kind of go around the truck and I'll show you what we're going to be doing over the next week or so. One of the things that we have to do is replace this tailgate latch, because evidently, and I ripped it off. So I've got a new one of those coming, put a new tailgate latch on it, and then it'll be all good. Now the next thing that I have to do is I have to do something about this exhaust back here. It's some kind of aftermarket fake dual exhaust kind of stuff. It looked cool, it sounded cool, and when I first got the truck, if you have some inclination to do an exhaust like this, find the biggest guy that you can find and have him squarely punch you in the face, and don't do it. It's a nightmare. It goes up over the axle. You can't use the gooseneck ball because you've got to drop the gooseneck ball into the thing, and it hits the exhaust, so you can't get the pin in. It's just a nightmare, but it's not going to work with the mud flaps is the biggest deal. It's already broken on this side. The hanger's broken. It's being held up by a ratchet strap on that side, so it's a good time to cut it all off and just put it back to stock out the side, and then we'll be all good to go. Now, some of the other things that I have to deal with, you can see there, I've got a license plate light thing that disappeared, so I'm going to be replacing that with a new one. I'm also going to be replacing this with a new one. There's some cool LED ones that are going in there, so we'll show you those later. Going around the truck, I've got to deal with parking brake cable issue. It doesn't work, so I'm going to take the wheels off here in a second and see if I can get it freed up, or I might have to replace some cables. It's an automatic, and the parking brake's never been used, so something's seized up, and I'm hoping that it's just the levers in the back here for the parking brake, and then I can get that freed up, and then it'll be okay and it won't cost me any more money. We know all about saving money is profit. Some other things that I need to do. These marker lights were like, I think they were $9 for a whole set on eBay, like, I don't know, 5 years ago. But I've got a couple of them that are burned out. They're LED, but they're aftermarket things. I've got new ones coming in. They're actually a little bit better looking. They're lower profile, and they don't stick out quite as far. So I got new ones of those coming. Let's see. Around the front, it's just basic maintenance. I clean the engine compartment, and I talked about why I cleaned the engine compartment a little while ago. Cleaning out the air filter, because I got a cleanable one, and so I'm recharging it. Just checking all the fluids and topping everything off, except for it's going to get an oil change and a fuel filter, and then all that part should be ready to go. Then there's all these little small things that I kind of have put off for a while, and now I'm going to be taken care of. One is the dome light under here doesn't work, so I'm going to put a new bulb in there. It's not a big deal. I don't think DOT worries about that. But one thing that they do worry about are the lights up on the cab. I got some cheap Chinese LEDs and stuck those in there a few years ago, and they slowly, one burned out, and then this one burned out, and then one over here burned out, so they don't work. So I got new LED lights coming for the top up there. Let's see, what else am I going to be doing? I worked on my 7-way in-bed plug. I had to pull it out of its mount because I'm going to be putting a gas tank in there, and then I'll use this. I'll just leave it laying in there and plug into it when I've got a fifth wheel rolling. One of the other things, I don't think it's a DOT thing, but the door ajar switch on this thing has been broken for about 3 years, and the dome light always stayed on. So I just pulled the dome lights out, and so now I got one of those ordered. I did order one from eBay. It came in, it's the wrong one, doesn't fit. So I got another one coming from O'Reilly Auto Parts, and hopefully it's the right one. And instead of being $14, it's $35 or something like that, $38. So it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but at least it'll work. So I've got the door taken apart for that. As far as the dome light thing goes, in the dome light area itself, get this thing to focus. There you go. In here, I'm going to put the bright white LEDs, and then in the map lights for the rear, in the rear map light, I just can't reach that one right now. I'm going to put red LEDs in there. That way, when I'm sleeping back here, I can turn on the red light and it won't tear up my night vision so bad. Red lights are better for night vision. So I'm going to put red LEDs in both of those map lights back there. And then up here, I'm going to leave this one white, and I'm going to put red in the other side so it can shine down into that seat red if I need some kind of lighting there. I think that's what I'm going to do. I might put both red in there too, and then just put the center one as a super bright white LED. We'll just have to see how that goes. Other stuff that's going to be coming, you'll see in the videos that are going to be coming up. Putting a rear view camera in. I've got my GPS up there, and I've got my my edge gauge set up there. Sirius XM in the center and all that stuff. I'm going to be redoing all this to get rid of all the wires and kind of clean things up, but getting it ready to go. That's pretty much the gist of the repairs. Truck's in pretty good shape, runs great. Did some cleaning on it and things like that, but it's just a couple of light bulbs and basic maintenance. The biggest repair that I've been putting off is that exhaust. And once I get that exhaust done, then I'll be able to take it over and get the DOT inspection. I also got a bug deflector up here, and in the last winter, I hooked that side with my coat and broke the end off. So I got a new bug deflector coming, just because I don't know if it actually works for deflecting bugs, but I like the way that it looks. And my Sirius antenna comes up, and it goes right here and it hides under there. So you don't see the actual antenna when it comes out. Just gonna be checking brakes, making sure I've got good life on the brakes. I've already went underneath and checked for leaks. There's no leaks there, no major leaks. You got little seepages here and there, but nothing major. You can see under there, there's nothing leaking and dripping. It's been parked in here for, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, so nothing major there. All the U-joints are good. In the back, I'm putting new shocks in. I did notice that one of my shocks is pretty crappy back there. Looks like it's been leaking for a while, so I'm gonna put new shocks in the rear. I've got airbags in here. I've actually lowered the truck about 3 or 4 inches in the back. Because it was, I don't know why. I don't know if it was stock or if it was the guy that owned this before me did it, but it was really high in the back, and I had a hard time getting my truck camper in there and hooking up the fifth wheel. It was just really, really high. So I ended up lowering the back, and I put airbags in there, so it sits a little more level, but it makes everything a little bit better. Be doing, those lights up there, again, cheap Chinese white LEDs on each of the outside ones, and they work when they want to work. So I got new ones, those coming. The third brake light, long time ago I took that bulb out because when I'm hauling a fifth wheel, it would shine off the front of the fifth wheel, and it was just annoying, so I took that bulb out. But for the DOT thing, I got to put it back in. So we'll be putting an LED in there also. I don't think there's anything else to do. One of the things I did do, which is kind of cool, is when I did my airbags, I actually put the fillers right here at the bottom of the license plate. I know there's a lot of people that have put them in their fuel door, but I put mine right here. It's super convenient when you're hooking up your latch, you're hooking everything to here, or you're hooking something up there. The It's really easy to just air them up right here, and you got your left and your right here. So it's pretty easy to do. I use a little Ryobi air pump to pump those up. Hopefully you get something out of these videos, and hopefully we'll see each other on the road someday.